Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over some analysis that is calling for a 60 to 90% drop in the price of Cardano. Let me just say, before some of you out there have a heart attack, I do not agree with this. In fact, I refute it, and that's exactly what this video is going to be about. The individual calling for this is Peter Brandt. He is a veteran technical analysis guy. He's been in the trading space for a long time. He's wrote books on the space. So we're not knocking the individual. Very brave of him to stick his neck on the line, especially knowing how zealous Cardano followers are. But we ultimately disagree with this big time. And we think that, he's also kind of calling for a bit of a bear market. This is some older analysis that he did where he's saying, look, on all these dates, you got rejected from the 40,000 range. However, you are above it today. We did say this was coming. We'd like to see a retest of the resistance now, hopefully turn support before we then continue. But this is about Cardano. One reason I don't think straight off the bat a 60 to 90% sell-off is a thing is because I don't think it's liquid enough to do that. What I mean by that is I don't think there is enough circulating supply out there for us to tank the market by 90%. Now, I know that 90% of the supply doesn't have to be sold off, but a significant portion of the circulating supply needs to kind of be sold in opposition to the buying pressure in order for it to cause a 90% sell-off. We don't think that's going to happen. We know that 70% of all circulating Cardano right now is staked, around about 23.2 billion Cardano is staked. So we don't think it's liquid enough to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to read through this article. We're going to be addressing the actual tweet and really taking a look at what he's calling for. We won't do it on this chart. I'll wipe this chart so that we can really take a look at and see if we see what he's calling for. So let's get straight into it, guys. Cardano risks 60 to 90% drop, warns trader, with ADA painting a classic bearish pattern. Spotted by veteran analysis Peter Brandt, the classic technical pattern can result in ADA price losing almost 90%. Cardano is close to attaining the title of fully fledged smart contract platform following a critical upgrade in mid-July. The project co-founder Charles Hoskinson confirms that they recently processed the sale of more than 10 million worth of non-fungible tokens, NFTs, atop their public ledger. We don't bother with NFTs on this channel. We think they're kind of like Tamagotchis unless you're using them. We're not, I think most people should really steer clear, because the problem with NFTs is you might buy it for a high price, but then you have to sell it to somebody else for a higher price or that price. And we don't really see the value in it. We'd rather trade the underlying cryptos that these NFTs are produced on. That's a totally different point, guys. Moreover, Sunday Swap, the first DeFi DEX to utilize Cardano smart contracts, is expecting to launch soon, and many ADA investors interpret this as a potential bullish catalyst for the altcoin. I think people are thinking that the news, we're going to talk about that in a second, because lots of people are saying, look, it's already priced in the anticipation of smart contracts, but what isn't priced in is the uptake in demand for the applications, the dApps being built on top of Cardano that are going to need to use the underlying asset ADA in order to facilitate whatever kind of smart contract interactions they're having. I use a lot of DeFi on Ethereum. It's very expensive, and I need Ethereum to actually facilitate those transactions. I need to pay a gas fee in association with me using DeFi, and people aren't looking at that. The underlying demand is going to step up tenfold, I believe, due to and if you calculate how much of it is staked and the circulating supply, it's a perfect, brilliant storm setting up for Cardano, I think. And people are just really saying, oh, well, it's news driven, but they're not taking into account the underlying usage of the blockchain. But the Ethereum rivals growth as a project might not lead to higher adoption for its native currency. ADA, at least according to analysis shared by Peter Brandt, the chief executive of global trading firm Factor LLC. A 60 to 90% crash ahead. The veteran analysis shares a bearish setup for ADA in a tweet published Friday. We'll get into that tweet in just a second, guys. He cited a classic technical pattern known as a head and shoulders to predict a downside scenario for Cardano token that is already up more than 600% on a year-to-date time frame. It makes me laugh when people call Cardano a stablecoin. It's only up 600%, guys. In actual fact, throughout this kind of sell-off period, we've been quite happy that the price has stayed relatively stable and hasn't moved for sort of the past 3, 4, 5 months. In detail, head and shoulders form when the price from 3 consecutive peaks atop a single support level with a condition that the middle peak is higher than the other two, which are typically the same height. The price eventually breaks below support levels, also called neckline, and falls by as much as the maximum height between the middle peak's top and support level. ADA visibly fits the description. And this is what he's on about, guys. And let's jump into it on the charts. We'll get another chart up. Let's use Bitfinex. So this is what he's on about. He's got it in a logarithmic time scale. Let me see, what is he on? He's on the daily. This is what he is indeed referring to here. He's referring to this. You know, this is your left shoulder, this is your head, and this is your right shoulder. And he's saying that this has a probability of breaking to the downside. And head and shoulders, as a pattern, typically do break to the downside. However, many people out there were calling for a head and shoulders for Bitcoin. We said it's not the case, guys. All these are, and it doesn't really, to me, fit a necessarily, perhaps technically, in the sense that you've got a neckline, you've got your 2 shoulders, and you've got your head, but it's not really typical of a head and shoulders pattern. You know, that it's too kind of rounded out for me to call a head and shoulders. You know, your head and shoulders are usually a little bit more jagged. They don't have to be. They can be smooth. But we're not really calling for this. And another thing that I want to point out, guys, is there's plenty of times where Cardano has looked like this and actually done the opposite. You know, you could perhaps say you had a head and shoulders here that didn't play out. You know, there's plenty of times when head and shoulders haven't, or what you could maybe technically call a head and shoulders, haven't played out. So we're saying this isn't going to come to fruition. We largely refute this. We'll keep reading on, guys, and then we'll kind of get into some reasons why perhaps we're betting against this. Cardano head and shoulders setup, source tradingview.com, Peter Brandt. The analysts envisions the ADA/USD exchange rate to drop as far as 12 cents, down 90% from the pair's current bid near $1.26. A percentage-based calculation of the head and shoulders pattern marked its profit targets near 35 cents, down 60% from its neckline. Brandt recalled his record of predicting market tops to add strength to his depressive Cardano prediction. For instance, one of his analysis from 2008 involved Litecoin spotted descending triangle setup following the altcoin's run from $4 to $420 during the 2017 bull run. So essentially, he called short during a pretty serious bear market that was confirmed in 2018, and he actually shows the call that he made here. It was pretty obvious we were in a bear market at that point, and he kind of called short on it. So he also he has made some calls quite right. He called Dogecoin, I think, as a short. But these, to me, are all pretty obvious shorts. You know, there's no major calls here that have been largely against the grain. This is the Dogecoin short, or what he's certainly saying he's setting up for Dogecoin. I think he's also very much on the kind of side of things that we perhaps are entering a bear market. I remember being scoffed at and unmercifully when I decided to identify this top for Litecoin USD. Back in the mid 2018, Brandt tweeted, "Hey Cardano trolls, take aim." Not a good idea to sort of poke at the bulls. Certainly not the crypto bulls, because people know how kind of passionate we are, or passionate, you know, people that hold individual cryptos and tribalistic they are. So, I think saying that you called Litecoin short in 2018 isn't really that impressive. I think, you know, he look, the bottom line is, guys, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think this is going to happen because the majority of the supply is actually staked. I think if you divide the rest of the supply between exchanges, I just don't think the liquidity is there to do that. I think you're going to run out of liquidity before you can get to that 90% sell-off. And you know, you could definitely say, technically, in the sense that you have 2 shoulders that are of an equal, you do have a neckline, and you do, but it doesn't have to play out, guys. And let me just switch back to my chart that I use daily. You know, we called this falling wedge pattern, which is a bullish pattern that broke to the upside, like we predicted it was going to, and we even drew a lot of support resistance levels that we said we were going to get rejected off. This is going to be a, you're going to be having to claim ground. This isn't just going to be a straight up sort of blast off through this straight up back to all-time highs. You're going to have to work for this. Patterns don't always have to play out, and I genuinely believe that this is rather a weak pattern. I don't really think this is necessarily a textbook head and shoulders necessarily. I just don't see it, guys. And to say that we're going to sell off 90% amid a bull market, I mean, did anybody else see John O'Connor from IOHK, which he essentially deals with Africa? He's the man on the ground in Africa for IOHK and Cardano. On Sky News yesterday. I mean, I don't know too many other crypto blockchains out there that are getting that kind of exposure. You are in a bull market, and to call short, I think, is not a wise decision. This is the tweet here. I remember being scoffed at unmercifully when I identified this top in Litecoin back amid 2018. So we're already in a bear market. Hey, Cardano trolls, take aim, and that's what we're doing. Like I say, I'm not disrespecting the individual whatsoever. He's obviously a veteran in the trading space, and he has made some calls very right. But I just think there are so many people that come over from the traditional world into crypto. So many of the top analysis, traditional top analysis people that I follow, get calls wrong continuously, because this is a very, very volatile market, and it usually will go against the grain. And you had Michael Burry calling for a huge short for Bitcoin. It's looking like we're recovering. We've said that, look, this is just a pullback within a bull market. You are still in a bull market. I don't know why you still have people calling for a bear market at this point. To me, it's pretty obvious we're still in a bull market, and this head and shoulders just doesn't really look to me like it's going to kind of come to fruition. Let's take a look, see if we can find any more areas that perhaps head and shoulders was present that just didn't play out, because I'm sure there will. I mean, you could say this was a head and shoulders. You got your shoulders, you got your head. This broke to the upside. There's plenty of occasions where people have called for head and shoulders and they've just not come to fruition. You could perhaps say that was a head and shoulders, and look at how that broke. And I think there's more resemblance with these than there are your traditional kind of head and shoulders and that pattern. So ultimately, we're not worried, guys, and we don't think you should be either. So many people messaged me this article, and I just thought, I don't know where this guy is getting it. I really don't. So he also goes in to say, but can 2018 repeat? The crash that followed 2017 bull run originated primarily because of a so-called initial coin offering bust. So we know that the market conditions were completely different back in 2017. I think there are definitely similarities, but it's there is the possibility that we do enter a bear market come the end of the year. We follow something called the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. The cycles do seem to be extending and lengthening. That is factual. If you put them all side by side, they are topping out at later points. So nobody's really going to know exactly. You can take your best guess at when there's going to be a bear market, but do we go into a super cycle? There's so much unknown, and honestly, to say that Cardano is likely to sell off 60 to 90% from where we are today is nonsense, guys. I really do think it is, and I could be wrong, but we've been here for long enough to kind of know what's going on, and to say that this is a head and shoulders, I mean, maybe technically in the sense that you do have a neckline, you do have two shoulders and a head, but they don't have to play out. People calling for this as a head and shoulders. It's not played out yet, and we don't think it's going to. We think the bull market is going to resume. We've looked at so much on-chain data to suggest this. We've looked at the amount of accumulation that has been taking place recently. It's just, you cannot deny that. And certainly in regards to something like Cardano, which is just continually, the adoption rate for Cardano is literally up and to the right. If you look at the chart, we've looked at the analysis on chain for Cardano, and everything screams adoption. Everything screams. Cardano, I believe, is undervalued where it is right now, considering what it's going to sort of do and bring to the world. And to have 70% staked, the liquidity just isn't going to be there to cause a 90% sell-off, guys. It's really not. Maybe on some exchanges, if everyone sold all at once, but there's not enough circulating supply, I don't think, to bring us down. We are very low vol, which wouldn't really help us out. But we're really just waiting for an uptick in the overall market. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. I just thought I'd refute this because I really don't see it. I think there's plenty of occasions where head and shoulders just haven't played out. I think in a bull market, calling short is a very brave thing to do, which I will give it to the individual. But, you know, we don't subscribe to it. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. I don't think you've got anything to worry about. Ultimately, you know, we're going to be making a video on this. This was in regards to... this is in regards to what's going on in Africa, you know, the adoption that we're seeing over there. This was huge. On Sky News, I mean, this is absolutely huge. We're going to go into a lot more detail in regards to Cardano and Africa in a later video. But I just thought I'd get on here, refute this, because many people were asking me, they were going, do you think this is possible? Not right now, guys. Absolutely not. Not for the sort of short, mid, to sort of longer term time frame. I don't think you're going to get a 60 to 90% sell off anytime soon. I think we've already sold off significantly, which was really healthy. It's allowed Cardano on a weekly time frame to get back in line with its EMA after being very overextended, and ultimately now we are setting up for continuation with our Elliott wave like structure, guys. You finish your fourth wave, we think you're going into your fifth and final wave perhaps of this year. So that's all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Hopefully I will see you all in the next YouTube video. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, as your feedback is crucial to the growth of this channel. And hopefully I will see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen.